The Equal Pay Act of 1963. The Equal Pay Act, signed into law by President John F. Kennedy on June 10, 1963. The purpose of the law is to prohibit any discrimination of sex in the payment of wages by employers. It specifically looks at women's pay at a rate less than the rate at which an employer pays wages to employees of the opposite sex for equal work. It must pay female employees the same rate as the opposite sex for equal work on jobs that the performance of which requires equal skill, effort, and responsibility, and which are performed under similar working conditions.
In 1944, Republican Congresswoman Winifred Stanley introduced H.R. 5056, prohibiting discrimination in pay on account of sex, which did not pass at the time. The issue languished until June 10, 1963, when Congress passed the Equal Pay Act as an amendment to the Fair Labor Standards Act.
There were provisions that were put in place to ensure establishments acknowledge the importance of equal earning potential for equal work for men and women in the same establishment. Employers must adhere to the following provisions when determining compensation of roles in their establishment. So to reiterate, employees must be compensated the same if they perform substantially equal work on jobs requiring equal skill, effort, and responsibility. The jobs also have to be performed under similar working conditions. So equal skill required, in other words, equal experience, training, education, and ability. Equal effort required, or the physical and mental effort exerted. Equal responsibility, in other words, equal accountability and supervisory duties. Equal working condition, in other words, equal physical surroundings and hazards. In order to comply with the Equal Pay Act, job roles being compared have to consider these factors to be deemed equal. If there are differences in any of these categories, jobs could potentially not be considered equal for the purposes of the Equal Pay Act. The act does not only apply for salaries and wages. Employers must provide equal compensation to those, and that includes bonuses, vacation, holiday pay, and other benefits. Law allows for pay differential based on criteria such as merit seniority if earnings are measured by quantity or quality rather than sex. Under the regulations and provisions of the Equal Pay Act, employees who believe their employer is not complying with these provisions or are being discriminated against can file a complaint with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission or directly sue their employer in court. These regulations and provisions are meant to act as a wage equalizer between men and women for equal jobs.
So moving into some of the subsequent amendments of the law, so the Equal Pay Act really sparked change and put these laws into place to reduce the employment discrimination. So first we have the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and this act furthered the Equal Pay Act by banning discrimination from other things besides sex, so race, color, religion, national origin. And then we have the Educational Amendment of 1972. So this expanded the Equal Pay Act by including other professions like white-collar executive jobs and professional and administrative jobs. Next, we have the Pregnancy Discrimination Act of 1978. So this is kind of self-explanatory, but it strengthened protections for pregnant workers. And then finally, we have the 2009 Lilly Ledbetter's Fair Pay Act, and this reduced time restrictions on wage discrimination complaints. So in conclusion, our group did a lot of research on this act and learned a great deal about what things were like at the time and what it kind of looks like in today's society. So based on the Equal Pay Act, it's really been credited for narrowing that gender wage gap in the US, but we still have a really long way to go. As of 2016, women are still paid only 82 cents to every dollar a man earns. So hopefully by furthering our education and putting forward new laws and regulations, we can really work to close that gender wage gap.